was an assistant, I started this little group with Julia about getting senior women to talk to younger women about the music industry. And in my first conversation with the two of them, they were like, "You have to have no fucking emotions. You have to be more like a man." And blah blah. Like gave it to, and I was like, "This is not gonna work
This is
out."
terrible. This sounds terrible.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna do this. This is a frightening thing. All right, we testing.
Hello?
Okay, that's what happens when you have 5 women around. We're like, let's get it going.
And like very A type.
Pretty good.
People get shit done. Okay, I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can turn off.
I would be watching myself.
Oh, we can turn it off.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. We're just talking about for hours.
No, please turn it off because I'm gonna keep looking at myself.
Yeah, no, we didn't have it on.
You want it
yesterday.
off?
Yes.
We did have it.
Then you'll be like this, Angie. Well, what I think
I'll be like,
is-
well, so what I was, yeah.
But turn it to Brittany and Mary.
Do you mind if we turn this so they're not?
I was just gonna turn it off. But you could totally
Well,
have
no,
it.
Brittany wants to watch.
You can have a video village.
Yeah.
Can I do it real quick, though?
A video
I
village.
just want to make sure the
Be
mic is
careful, one of
covering
the
the face.
wires in the bottom is wrapping around. It's good you wore color. Purple's good in here. Gives it-
Yeah,
Want-
thank you.
is that
Haas
what
came in
that
yesterday with
is?
this
You
bright
want-
green, and I had on, I think, like gray. And I was like, I need
I
to
know,
step it up.
No, she's good here. Yeah.
Step up the color.
Color's good.
Thank you.
They got you here by yourself.
This is called bored during the pandemic. I took every piece of old anything and
Oh, did
cut
you
it
make
and
it?
dyed it and bleached it. I just kept making shit happen.
I love
I
that.
love
I
that.
was like, I'm just gonna make stuff.
Was it like it was just purple and you like
Yeah, it was there's a flea market in Austin that just had hundreds of old champion sweatshirts. So I bought a bunch of them and I just started cutting them for people and dyeing them and bleaching them. Some have dye. I put patches. I thank you, Brittany. I made patches. I put patches on things. I started making shit for people. Full outfits, cut shorts. I went. I bought
here's some shorts.
No, for real. I had a friend. I went to her house, and she had like no cloth napkins of any kind. So I went to a flea market. I got all these white napkins, and I started all these natural dyes, and made her a set: tablecloth, napkins. Beautiful. I was just doing stuff. It was fun.
I love
was
that.
fun.
I enjoyed quarantine. Everybody always I missed that.
It was the best
time.
thing for me.
Me too. I
got-
really do.
I really was a thing.
Me
I,
too.
I did a prearranged relationship. Amir wanted to do a movie. He said, I don't know how to make a movie. I'm not a director. And I was like, have you not met yourself? You're a musical director. And I was like, I can't write a book because I don't want to talk about people. So we literally put ourselves together upstate New York and we workshopped Summer of Soul and this book and just like did it.
Wow.
Amazing.
It was the best.
Yeah.
And like got through a lot of shit and yelled at each other a lot. It was fantastic. It was so good. It was like
That's great.
The university I needed.
Yeah.
That's,
Well, you guys were close before that, though, no?
Yeah, we've been
Oh,
friends for 30 years.
Oh, wow.
But we had dinner like a few months before the door shut, and he was like wang me about this girl he was dating, victim consciousness, and I was like, ew, that's not. Do you think that's even a real thing? What you're saying?
Right.
You're not gonna get far in life if that's how you're handling things. And then he came back at me with some shit, and I was like, okay. So it was good.
Ah.
It felt like in another lifetime. We were like, if we're fucked up at 2019, meet at Earth, blah blah blah.
Yeah, yeah.
And like,
Yeah.
it was really
That's great.
helpful.
That's great.
Are you rolling? Sound.
Yeah, we are good.
Okay, but I don't hear that this mic's on. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
You hear me? You hear Angie?
Hello. Hey. Hey.
You hear Yvette?
Hey.
Okay. Okay, great.
Okay, great.
All right. You ready? Yep.
Yes.
I love. I'm glad we're starting with laughter. Thank you both
Laughter's
so much
good.
for this.
I'm so happy to be here.
Thank
Me too,
you.
Gracie.
Thanks for inviting
You know,
me.
I'm always the behind the scenes person, and I just was like, I want to start talking to people about things that really matter
Mm-hmm.
and the things that have been inspiring to me, even though people wouldn't deem them as the things inspiring. And there's a whole section of my book about the empire of me.
Mhm.
And you both embody that for me. You're both people that I've always looked at as people who are yourselves, completely, authentically, intrinsically yourselves. And it's not like I've ever noticed either of you climbing to anything, but more feeling into what's next and with passion and with excitement and without apology. And I find that that's a harder and harder thing for people to access. and leaning into like yourself as an empire, that
Mm.
you are this full you are an empire. And what do I need to do here? What do I need to experience here? What is going to help me grow in this reality? And so this had to be about the two of you. And you both have been through a lot of shit,
Mm.
a lot of shit. And
Some of it together.
Yeah, that's
some of
right.
it together, but also as parents, I
Mhm.
really admire you both. I admire the way you've parented. I admire the concept of it's about my child and the community around my child.
Mhm.
That's very advanced math. That really is,
Thank
that's
you.
selflessness. That's understanding you're boot camping a future adult,
Mhm.
and a lot of things that to me are things that are just intuitively who you are. It's not. I think we're all amateurs, amateur adults, and amateur parents,
Mhm.
but I feel like you always come at things with all heart and all conviction for it to be left better than it was before.
Mm.
And I feel the same about you. And you we were talking about it before we started. Yeah, I came into Island Def Jam, and I'd
Mhm.
come from Jive Records, which is corny. It's a kind of a corny place in terms of all the labels.
Absolutely.
And I arrived, and that shit was like Mean Girls. Like
Oh,
day
Def
one.
Jam? Yeah.
Oh my
I
God.
already
Yeah.
know. I already know who was in there.
Oh my God, I got an all caps email about some crazy shit day one. And I was like, where am I? And you always were just yourself, nurturing, but from such a strong ass place. So I really want to talk about that today. I want to talk about where that comes from. What is that inspiration? Do you see yourselves in that way? And how do you even take that passion, that fire on the road to where you are now, where you're both again with illustrious careers and still at the beginning? I mean, I'm watching you explode in such an
you.
authentic way where you're having conversations with people that for the concept of the world matter, but you're talking about things that matter.
Mhm.
And that's just delicious to watch. And you, who just, I mean, evolving every day into a spiritual goddess of life, but yet so rooted in the reality and relatable to people in a way that there's an availability, there's access to it that doesn't seem against their spirituality. It's not against who they are successing in the world. And that's a magical quality and character.
I accept that. Thank you.
So
Grace, first of all, that was so sweet. Thank you for that. That was like the best intro I've ever gotten on a show or a podcast. It was so thought. Was that like? Did you think about that too, or did that just come through you right now?
that just came through me now because
That's amazing.
when
Well, then
when
you're gonna be really good at this job.
well, thank you.
No, really, I
Thank
mean that.
you.
Yeah.
When I was doing the promo for the book, Mary was watching and she said, "You need your own podcast." And I was like, "I would
Yeah.
like a Joy cast." And it was easy to me to think of, okay, I want to break down this book because I've had an epic 54 years, I mean, an epic life.
Yeah.
And I just want to be a blessing to others for the rest of my days. So it was
Yeah.
easy to think about the two of you in that way. And it was easy to just come with that because that's how I really feel. That's how I've
Mhm.
always felt.
That's
So,
so
yeah.
nice.
Yeah,
But
thank you.
we see each other and we've always had like a good rapport with each other
Yes.
but it's just interesting to hear because we don't in our regular real life we don't share what we think of someone just because hey how you doing let's have drinks or wherever
Right.
we don't really share that so to hear how somebody sees you who you've come across for so many years is actually I don't know it's very sweet
And it's
thank you.
humbling.
Yeah it's very nice
I mean,
Thank you.
Angie and I had a conversation the other day, and she was talking to me about a project that she's working on, and I was like, "Damn, Ange, like, it's amazing to watch you in your purpose."
Mm.
And there's just an illumination of aura when someone steps into that purpose,
Preach.
and it's bright, and it's beautiful, and it's attracting.
Yes.
You know what happened when she came in? She had a tissue and she said she's ready to cry. And I made fun. What did I do? I made fun of
You
her.
did.
Always, she
And I
always-
said, Yvette.
Now you're like,
Yvette cries at like the drop of a dime.
You need
and
it?
so I was like, I was making fun of her. So now you're like, are you going to try to make me cry? Is that what's happening here? It's like I feel like I'm under attack. I feel like I'm under attack.
It's that
But do you
scene in
see
Jerry
this? How
Maguire.
we're praising her, and she's like, "Why are you doing that? What do you, like,
How you trying to-
why are you being
I'm
nice
under-
to me?
I'm under attack. I
I
feel
think we
under
need to
attack.
analyze this."
Well, I think
Shut up.
like attracts like. I mean, that's people always say you don't see yourself to me, and I think that's the point of when you're an empire. When you see yourself as this bigger than life character in your intention of life, not
You
necessarily.
don't think everybody sees themselves? Everybody's
No,
like,
no.
isn't everybody the what do they say? You're the main character of your book.
I
Isn't
wish.
everybody the main character.
The star of the
there?
story. I wish.
Yeah.
No,
I
you
don't
know
think
what?
everyone sees themselves that
No.
way
Most people
Really?
no.
at all. Mm-mm.
Think about even in the industry we're in. I started to analyze a couple years ago people that we've lost who've
Mhm.
chosen to pop themselves out. And I've noticed that there are people that they come into the industry for validation, for attention, for a community, for growth. But I see you both coming in to have the experience of whatever that experience is. And I wanted to say back to that a second ago. One other last thing about this, when I'll stop. But
Mm-hmm.
I am in a bubble. I had to get in a bubble to write this book.
Oh.
I don't notice or know anyone who's kind of popping off in the world. But every time you have a podcast episode, I am so in it because you're getting to the heart and the
That's so
root and the
nice. Thank
I mean,
you.
I'm not being nice. I'm being honest. It's been nice to see that, and it's been nice to allow people to drop into their own truth in their own heart
Mhm.
and not be on sell mode and show mode. So it's a beautiful thing.
Thank
It's a
you.
beautiful thing.
To go
Thank
back to
you.
the point about the main character of your own life,
Yeah.
I have a chapter that I'm working on in my memoir where I talk about feeling invisible.
Mm.
And most of my life, I have had to become a chameleon,
Mm.
right? And just sort of that object that blends in
Mhm, mhm.
for various reasons. But I've carried that into my adulthood and into my life. And I'm now recognizing my invisibility
Mhm.
and my ability to be the supporting cast member almost flawlessly, right? And and it's I still haven't gotten to the point where I resolve myself or why I feel so comfortable in that place
And supporting cast.
and supporting cast.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I feel really comfortable in that place. And I don't know if I should anymore.
Mm,
And
I
I'm
was
questioning that.
well.
And so I'm working through that with my book.
Get out. Be the main character. Be main. Be the
That's
main.
right. Be the star of your story.
Yeah.
A good friend of mine is a black belt in karate, and she said that when she graduated, when she got her black belt, she went to her teacher like, "This is amazing, I did it," and he said, "Okay, now the work begins."
Mm.
And I feel like that the challenge place is really where everything begins. And I think that to me, I always say I was a behind the scenes person too, because it was easier for me to not be front and center. It's also a part of our age. I find the younger kids are more like, I'm out. Whereas I was trained like, be
Yeah.
demure and don't be all about you.
That's
But
so weird. I'm doing the opposite, I think.
but you're doing it in a way where you're getting people to bring themselves out. So you're
Yeah.
kind of doing both.
In purpose. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I feel
Yeah.
like that's part of my purpose is to do that. But yeah, I'm feeling less attracted to being in front of things.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Like
Mm.
I feel less need for I don't not that I was ever I never really was like I need attention.
Right, right,
I
right.
never was
Right.
like an attention starved person,
Mm.
but I didn't mind it. I just would do it my own. I managed it my own way. I try to make sure I kept blinders on and would never lose myself, but I was navigating through it and I just thought, okay, now I feel like I don't know. I feel like and maybe it's just again the way the world is right
Yeah.
now. There's so much everything is weighted. Everything is so weighted
Yes.
Yeah.
that sometimes you're like I don't want to give something that's not that weighted to me into the world to then be weighted
Yes.
to then
yes.
have to get that energy back. It's interesting because I've been watching like media and stuff and just our world and
Yes.
wondering how that's going to land.
I
in
think
2 years, 3 years, how
right.
artists change, how public figures change.
Oh yeah, that's a whole conversation.
Yeah,
for
because
sure.
the way the energy is of the world. Uh-oh. Is that me?
A little bit
Closer to me? And I know better. I was just afraid of that.
Okay,
That's
well let's
why.
get rid of that. Brittany
But
said
I
that
felt
from
like
the
I
very
was
beginning.
hunching.
Brittany, here, take this because
You should have listened to the
Yes, bye-bye.
NAACP
You're right.
nominated
You're
podcast.
100% right.
So. Did I just go dark? Because that's really how I've been feeling like about like
no,
I
you
don't
didn't
know.
go dark.
It's a little it's not dark. It's almost like
Can we pick up with Grace just so you guys have an easy cut to pull out that moment that we just
oh.
Yeah.
How do you do that? How do you naturally do that? Let's see. By the way, your intro was really like stellar.
Thank you. I mean,
It's not a
inspired by-
compliment I throw around. It's
inspired by
like
you
I
too.
really mean like you really. I was like,
Thank
wow,
you.
Grace, go
Thank
ahead.
you.
Get
Thank
this
you.
one. Give
I
it
mean,
on.
what a opportunity in life. I get to talk to people that inspire me as the humans that they naturally are. It's just easy.
That's fun.
But what we were just talking about, I love that you were saying, and you were saying that you feel like we are leaning into being the star of the story, and you're leaning backwards. And
Mhm.
what my kids have been trying to tell me recently is we're in a different world now. So even the viewpoint of star or who's in front and who's in back is different. Now social media is when you step out on stage, and when you're not in anything virtual, you're backstage. So it's the process. And so being the person asking the questions really is the star. You almost evolved into just kind of what is the now as the star. You think about a Barbara Walters or somebody who
Mhm.
they're the star in corralling the stars, or an Oprah.
Yeah, but even me, the next 2 or 3 projects that I'm trying to do, I'm not even in the chair. I am back there with them.
Right. But
Yeah,
that is still that.
yeah, but I'm like, I don't enjoy as much,
Like being a singer, or the artist, or a rapper, or
or
actor, things you've done in the
even the
past.
person conducting the interview publicly and having a perspective and having, because it's not just, it's not just, well, you're getting into this space now,
Yeah,
you'll
yeah.
see it's not just about forming. I mean, listen, the beauty and the best part is if you can form natural conversation.
That's right.
So when you have people that you can do that with, that's a blessing.
That's
You
right.
can't always, right?
That's
So
right.
sometimes you have to lead frame a conversation. And that's it's a different skill set.
Right.
And then there's another thing where for me it's like opinion. People want your opinion on things that you don't really even
Mhm.
necessarily in your real life at home. I'm not thinking about this topic that everybody's talking about on the thing in the stream. So when you're a public facing person, you're almost expected to have a perspective on all those things. And I'm just, as I get older, just less and less interested in that part of creating.
100%.
You know, that's
and
called
that
you're doing the shadow work, Angie.
is that what I'm doing,
You're
Yvette?
doing the shadow
Oh
work.
my
yes.
God, you just got
So like
broke it down.
when you step out in front, right?
Yeah.
And you're that light,
Yeah.
right? That people are attracted to, people are seeing.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating because you're stepping into your purpose, and so you're illuminating yourself, but at the same time, you're paying attention to the shadow work, which means it's that person that is always that version of you that's always kind of behind. It's that voice, the light voice that speaks to you in those moments where you need to be in touch with yourself.
Mm.
It's the version of you that's not usually seen,
Mm.
but it exists and she's real. And so that's when you get into doing the shadow work and you're still able to illuminate because you're stepping into your purpose. That means that you're moving and you're
Mm.
active, and it's beautiful to be able to encompass all of that at once.
Mm.
I also think that is really the conversation today, right? The empire of me.
Mm.
What is that?
Mhm.
It doesn't mean necessarily that you're visibly in front or you're visibly behind.
Right.
It means that you are the maestro of
Yes.
the entire experience.
Yes.
And that
agreed.
you have a capacity and belief in yourself as the star of the story to be any of those roles and have the command that they come out in the way that your intention wants them to be.
Mm.
And I think that's even a bigger thing than I am the singer, I'm the star, I am the host. It's more like I have a vision for this life and this world and this the soul that I've manifested this go round.
Yes.
And that's going to keep growing and building. And at the end of the day, you have a legacy.
Yeah.
And you have a legacy that has a certain tone and a certain sentiment and a certain concept. And that's what I see you doing naturally
Thank you.
and effortlessly. And
I think too,
what you're saying.
what you were saying about just how we speak to ourselves and the main character of yourself.
Mhm.
Because the way the world is, sometimes they think the main character has to be out front.
That's right.
But why do you have to be that in your own world? Because we can't all be standing out there on the stage doing whatever.
Yes.
I think main character is just what serves you in the moment, like being
Yes.
honest, being in touch, being in tune, and then delivering on whatever we're here to do, right?
I was having this conversation
Yes.
with
Yeah.
my
Agreed.
14-year-old the other day, and she goes, "You know,
She's not your
Mom,"
average 14.
She's not your
I
average
mean-
She
14.
is special.
Olympic gold.
She is special work. That one.
I said, she was like, "Mom, it's so weird how everyone just wants to be noticed."
Mhm.
She's like, "It just doesn't feel right." And I said to her, I was like, "Well, babe, everybody can't be Jesus. Like, you're not going to make such an impression in the world that your name is still spoken 2,000 years later." She was like, "Yes, everybody can't be Jesus." And it's just like, I feel that, even Jesus in his own right I don't think he ever expected that people would be talking about him 2,000 years after he walked the earth,
Well, that's
right?
the point.
That wasn't in his intention.
That's
I mean,
right.
maybe that was a larger spirit's intention, but you have to just walk your walk,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
And you have to be in control of that. And that goes back to just ties back to the empire of me.
Totally.
Like, if you have control of what that is,
Yes.
then you're stepping with the good foot.
I agree. I think that's what Angie was saying before. Like, what is the future? What's happening in 2 years? And, we 20 years ago or whatever that was, the math is not maybe working out, but Andy Warhol said, in the future, everybody will have their 15 minutes. And we're really there right
Oh,
now.
we are here.
We are really
so
there.
here.
But what does that mean? There's nothing.
What do you do with it?
But I think what that means is there's nothing in the world that all is going to stay above the lines and not something sink. So what that means is we're going to go back to the stars rising, and I mean the internal stars, the
Yeah.
people with full intention, the people who have a bigger plan or have a bigger idea of things,
Mhm.
and everyone else is going to be, like you say, something that maybe if you were around at that time you had the experience of, but not necessarily the things we're going to bring into the future. And what's hopeful about that is it means it creates more room for people to create a new specialty, pioneer new things, come up with new ideas, kind of lean back into their own truths. And hopefully that'll make the shift from such a me focused world to a how do I create? And how do I make something that one of my biggest dreams in life is to create collectives of creative people that do things together that change the world. That in their own fun, in their own workshopping, in their own pioneering, they're enjoying their lives, but together that collective does things that impacts the future going forward. And so I think that's where we're heading now. I think that's really what is exciting about you both, because the intention to keep figuring out what's next, to create retreats, to learn how to let people let go of grief, to lean into to things that maybe not seem like a gift, but really are the gift. I mean, I think that's the gift of our ages even. I can look back to
Yeah.
things that seem like the worst thing ever. And now I'm like, thank God for
Yeah.
those experiences.
Yeah,
I
pretty
wouldn't-
much everything.
Right? Almost
yeah.
everything. I
Yeah,
wouldn't
almost
enjoy it. I wouldn't be able to lean into it. I wouldn't be able to relax into some of these things had I not had some real hard shit.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
Well,
so
the lessons in the difficulty. I got that message the other day and I accepted so wholeheartedly.
Mhm.
And there's no life without pain.
That's right.
It just that doesn't exist. That utopic sense of or idea of what life should be
Mhm.
doesn't exist. And I think until we get to the point where we understand that life is just what it is.
Yes. Say that again, please, for the people in the back.
Until we get to the point that we understand that life is just what it is and we're walking our individual journeys with free will,
That's right.
right? Then there's just this feeling, and that's what we feel right now, right? Is the energy to uh b- exist according to um what we think
Mm.
or how we think we're supposed to exist versus existing how we are here to exist.
That's right. Leaning our own GPS, how we feel, 100%.
Right.
There's a
And-
Mary quote I love in here that's about leaning into the high peaks and low valleys of life.
Mm.
And we live, especially now, where everyone's looking for like what feels good and the dopamine hit, but really it's learning to enjoy even the moments. It's like when you're pregnant. I remember with Michaela, it was like, I can't wait to have the baby. I missed the entire pregnancy, people helping me and giving me things. And with Ryden, I was like,
Oh my God, we've been talking about that all week too, like the journey. Like,
Mhm.
do you like the journey? Do you like doing what you're doing? So every time, like now, it's like a new thing that I learned later in my life is like, if I decide okay, maybe what would be really cool if I take on a project or something, I have to think, not only will I like that to do that in that end goal, will I like the 6 months of prep and the 6 months of this and then the 3 months of will I like the journey?
right.
Because that's really the question we should be asking ourselves whenever we embark on anything, having a baby, to starting a new job, dating a whatever.
Yeah, moving to a new city.
Yeah, moving to a city.
Will I
like,
be in my life enjoying those moments
inside of my life
every day?
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
right.
Not just some like thing over there that a promise of what it could be.
That's right.
Because if we're only working towards the promise of what it could be, man, that could end badly.
and it usually does.
I was just going
It
to say
has
that.
to. It has to
It
because
has
only
to.
two things could happen. Either one, it ends well, but you were so busy chasing that over there, you missed the whole thing.
That's
That's
right.
best case scenario.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Worst case scenario is that actually is garbage over there, and you wasted all this time not enjoying the journey, and then it's garbage on top of that. So it's like, at least, even if it's garbage over there, if you enjoyed getting there, so what? The cookie at the end didn't taste so great, but everything up to the cookie was great. So it's still worth it then. You still,
That's
if
right.
you're in the moment,
100%.
doing
And there's a
what
purpose
you,
for that cookie. right?
yeah,
It,
yeah.
you
Even the trash cookie,
even the trash
Even the
cookie,
well,
right? Like
especially if you're on the journey.
Yes.
yes,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly.
Especially, yes.
The lessons
Yeah.
and the
Trash cookie.
the
You-
trash
You
cookie.
just
Even if it's the trash cookie, like it.
you just pivot. It's an opportunity to pivot.
But I think that that's again, why I really want to talk to you too. You have that. You
Mm.
both understand that.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you've always understood that. I know we've learned more now, but something about both of you, there's something that always felt like you got that you weren't just hot potatoing something, and if it failed, it was everything. It was more like, okay, next, okay, now, okay, open, okay, closed, and
I mean, what is
I wish
where
it
did
was
that
that
come from?
easy.
What
It's
was
not, I'm not saying
That's
it's
not what
easy.
happens in my. That's
not
not
saying
what
it's-
happens in my head.
Oh, I get it.
Promise.
What happens in my head either. Like people say things to me. My daughter's always like, "Oh, I hate meeting people." They're like, "Your mother changed my life. Your mother," and I'm always like, "Really? I did? When did what?" I get it. I mean, but there was something in you both that knew you got yourself. Somewhere along the lines, you knew I got me. And where was that? Where did it come from? Like, do you
I
remember
don't know
not
that
feeling-
I've always felt that. I think I would always rise to the occasion if something came and knocked my ass down. I don't know that in the moment I thought, I got this.
Mhm.
Or even going into whatever the knockdown was. Going into it, I don't think I felt the courage of, I got it, whatever it is.
But you did it.
Yes, because what is the alternative?
But see,
what
not
I'm not
everyone-
going to do is lay down.
Okay. Why?
You know what I'm saying?
Why
What
are you
I'm
not
not
gonna
going
lay
to
down?
do is
Why?
because I'm hopeful that well here's the root of that. The root of that, I think, is knowing that my intention is good.
Mm.
Because if you're bad spirited or if you're doing something to hurt somebody, you don't have it's not as comfortable to. If you know you mean well and you go out there and you do something, you're like, yeah, this is gonna be great for great reasons, and you don't mean to hurt nobody, and if you know your intentions are good, that even if you fall down, you get knocked around, you believe in yourself enough to know that there's good under there. That makes you get back up. You know what I'm saying? Because then
I do. I
because
understand that.
there's if you're rooted in bad, if there's something bad there and you get knocked down, I gotta imagine it's harder to get back up.
I wish it were harder to get back.
Yeah, I mean, like
I wish that were
Oh,
true.
like attracts like, right? So like if you have bad intentions, that's what you're gonna attract a bad outcome. Like that's just how energy works.
For sure.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah, for me,
Yeah.
I think that I just feel like
So
maybe
you felt you were intrinsically in the position of good.
I tried to be. Yeah, I'm sure I've made mistakes and maybe not knowing may have done some things bad, just not intentionally.
Sure.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
lost in a moment
Mhm.
or behaving in a way I thought for whatever reason at whatever time, but never would approach something with knowing ill intention. You know what I mean? That was not something that I mean, listen, I could probably go through the pages of my life and be like, that was questionable. That was not nice. Yeah, I could probably find them, but the overall of my life, I think, and I get that that's rooted in family and my mom and
Mm.
how you're raised and, and then getting into a world where you're like, not everybody's the same way. So you try to protect yourself from that and you try to,
Yeah.
do good by people. And I always had faith in that. I always have faith in like, if you do the right thing, you'll be all right.
Faith
Faith.
is the best compass. That's
Yeah.
the first thing.
Yeah.
My root is different.
Mhm.
My root is based in first being a victim,
Mm.
transitioning to survivor. And that was at least the, first 2/3 of my life, of my existence.
Mhm.
And so I did it. I always had myself because there was really no one else.
Mm.
So there was a lot of, I needed to learn how to trust that I wouldn't be disappointed. And shout out to the great Chris Atlas, who really, really taught me that lesson.
Shout out to Chris.
And
You got a good husband,
I
girl.
do, I do. I picked, and Eva told me the other day, she said, "Oh, Mom, you did good. Thanks. I got a great dad."
He
And I
did
was
good
like,
too, by the way, for the record. Let me just
Right,
put
thank
that on
you.
the record.
Thank you.
and but it was really about I had to have me because no one else had me.
Mm.
But where did you get the fortitude to know that you did have you?
Well, I think faith brought me to that.
And how did you have faith?
And you had no choice.
And I just
Also no
like
choice.
there were literally no options.
But we do know people who don't think they have options.
Sure. Like my sister, by the way, who, didn't felt that she never had options, felt that she was never loved, and felt that she wasn't worthy of love, not even of herself, which is why she was a heroin addict and, she died really young and her life was absolutely tragic, right? But that's where free will comes into play. Like we both had very similar circumstances growing up. We were 8 years, she was 8 years older than me. And I thank God every day for her tragedy because that was my triumph,
Mm.
right? But you have two people that had a very similar existence that came from the same stock, right? And the same, I would venture to say, the same um, spirit tribe.
Yes.
And we both had our lot in life. And I carried the guilt of why her and not me for many, many years. And then that turned into thank God, not me. And I was okay with that. And on her deathbed, she was just like, bitch, you better keep going and be grateful for what you got, And there was such a lesson in that because that was, if you don't believe in yourself, if you don't love yourself, if you don't know that you got yourself and that there's a higher spirit that's got you, then you're going to find yourself in that same place. That was what I understood was my option. And I ventured to say, not so much. Doesn't work for me.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. It's been interesting writing this book. I had to get to it myself. How did I persevere? We've talked a lot about I was in foster care and just all of my early days were just wild. And um, why do I keep coming back? Why do I believe that, I can do it over and over and try new things? And um, I think that that's really becoming a lost art. And, I hope that as we continue forward, the three of us, that we always are inspiring younger people to understand that that is the clue, right? That is the tool. Understanding that the way you put it, that if your intentions are come from a beautiful place, that's even something for people to grasp onto. If you have faith, if you understand that there's trials and errors that you witness in front of you, that's a tool to hold on to. I hope that people really start to get that because I'm seeing quite the opposite. That people in this world right now that's so social media based, and I love social media. It's not the tool, right? What is the expression? It's not the drug, it's the user.
Yeah.
That people really start to get and to root into that. But I know you have a heart out, so I want to.
No, baby. No. I'm okay. Okay.
You sure? Could talk a little bit longer?
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
Okay. This
I
is
have,
so
what
much
time
fun.
is it? 5:52. Oh, we got time.
Okay, great.
That's why we moved it up, so I wouldn't have a heart.
Okay, great.
So I
I
wouldn't
just
be
told
rushed.
Mary to give me. Okay, I'm sensitive.
I didn't want to be rushed.
Okay,
That's why
perfect.
I asked if we could move it up because I didn't want to be
Perfect.
rushed.
Perfect.
No. We have plenty of time. I have at
Perfect.
7:30, so I
Okay,
have to be somewhere. At
perfect,
7:30. We're
perfect,
totally
perfect.
fine.
Yeah, no, it's just it's a magical thing. And early in my career, I remember artists saying to me early on when there was big things happening, the AIDS epidemic and other things happening. Well, I don't want to be a role model, and and I don't want to be someone that people have to lean into. Or you said earlier, I don't want everyone asking me my opinion on things that I have no actual emotional, physical connection to.
Yeah.
That's a complicated thing, especially in our non-fact checking world.
Mm-hmm.
But being the people that you are, being the empire, being someone who leans into I can and I will and I'll try it. Um, how do you think that you embody that in a natural day to day of your life that inspires other people?
I am conscious of it.
Okay.
It's not something that just I am conscious. I check in with myself all the time, every day, all day.
How?
Like,
Angie, hello.
yes, hi. No, just in thought, just like, how does this feel? How did this work today? Did you like? I've been very much like, I've been working on some things that I've been writing a lot, which requires. So I'm in like cocoon mode a little bit. I came
Beautiful.
outside because it's you guys, right? And I still have to come outside. I still have to
Right.
function, but I haven't been doing a lot of things because you know what it takes to put yourself in like a little
Creative bubble.
It's very hard to come out to do anything because it pulls you out. It's very hard to then get back inside. So I've been in this little bubble. And I keep asking myself, do you like it in here? Do you like it in here? Like, do you like, how is this going for you? Is this okay? And I'm like, I do actually really like it. I don't like, when I feel disconnected to it and forced. And, so I'm just whatever. That's just one example. But like I ask myself questions all the time. How does this feel? Is there purpose in it? Are you helping anyone? Um, yeah, just that. How much time are you putting in it? Like I'm very mindful about how the things I do and what I do. And mindful to a point, like mindful, then throw it away. You know what I mean? You don't want to be so mindful that you're controlling everything with a stiff arm, like, because you got to let the world show you the magic. You got to you got to breathe, and you got to let things happen, and you got to slip and fall so that you could, you have to leave room for that. But so I tried to walk that fine balance of checking in with myself and making sure that I'm being mindful and thoughtful, and also like letting God lead it, not me lead it. It's like it's that fine line of like pushing and waiting, and so that's kind of, I'm in that state all the time.
I mean, that is beautiful. Can you teach this to everybody in the world? I mean, what I'm really hearing you say is that you're walking in faith,
Yeah,
Yes.
that
for
you're
sure.
living in good intentions, that you're also living in the balance of not over indexing and being like hyper aware of every movement, but also really checking in with yourself. How does this feel? Number one. I
Yeah.
mean, the big part of this book title is not that I'm the joy strategist, that our own hearts are the joy strategists,
Mm.
and that we've gotten so far away from just trusting our own instincts, our own pull, and giving yourself enough space to hear yourself and commune with whoever else is in there
Is in
working
there.
with you, but also giving yourself the space to let it go so that there is the chaos of magic coming in and
Yeah,
giving you beyond.
that's the new development of my life as of the past, I don't know, 5, maybe since probably the accident, 4 years. It's the new development is that I've learned to give myself space, because I used to hold on to the reins so tight,
I can relate.
because
Mhm.
I knew it best. I know how this needs to look. These 3 mics one of them should be like this.
Yes.
Fucking cares, number one. Who cares? And also, you might miss something that could magically happen from all the mics being like this.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like I really learned over the past few years to kind of just like let things just
right.
happen. There's really a beautiful magical thing that happens in there, which is hard for a lot of our type, not to put us in the same category.
Oh, we're in the same category.
But we
Yeah.
are, in the sense that we make things happen, and
Yes,
we
right.
are looked at for leadership in some ways, and so you get into control mode, and we're smart, so a lot of times we are right,
Like
and our way
most of
is
the
the best
time.
way.
Exactly.
But also, you're really smart when you know that sometimes there's actually a better way, even, and you
Mm.
won't find it if you don't leave room for it.
That's right.
If you're holding on so tight. So that is a new development, I'd say, in the past 4 or 5 years that I've kind of learned to do, which I'm enjoying that new kind of evolution of myself.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
My family was what kicked my ass around that. It's like, they have felt a lot of ways around this project.
Mm.
And I then
Mhm.
felt ways around the project and their
Really?
ways. And, my mom leaned a little bit into like, talking about foster care, things I'm a 10th grade high school dropout, or all of a sudden these things made her feel like she was the issue. And to me, it's a love letter to her, teaching me how to, navigate around that in life. But realizing I don't have to make them feel any way, or they don't have to be right, or I don't have to do everything for everyone. And just leaning into relaxation of being the person who's led on the journey myself. So I love what you said. And
Yeah.
I really, I'm hopeful for the world that more people start to lean into that trust of self.
Yeah.
It's a magical
And you never
thing.
know how did they land with it after it was done, and
Well,
how did your mom?
with my mother, she literally stopped talking to me for it was
Really?
almost 6 months,
Oh.
and I first got really angry, and then I just took it from her perspective, and I just kind of communed with her and just kind of felt how she might feel about it, and I then asked her if we could have a dinner, and I brought it back up again, and I said, have you read it again? Have you looked at it? This is not to attack you. This is my first dream. I feel like I've supported husbands and artists and a million people, and this is the first time I'm leaning out with my passion of life, but it's not in any way to hurt you, but at the same time I'm no longer going to be doing what I've been doing my whole life, which is just making it all about you
Mhm.
and being the
Protecting.
people pleaser,
Mhm.
beyond myself. I also need to be first online of how do I want to be pleased and how do I feel. So I think coming to it, like you're saying, with the balance of it and allowing it to be um, what's best for both of our higher selves
Mhm.
and not just what I need and the push pull or living in the victim consciousness about how she felt really helped. And it changed my relationship with her and myself. And so that was a beautiful lesson.
Mm.
But it really started with that, like, well, I know what's right, and I'm coming with this, and that tug of war thing was
Yeah.
what really sat me on my ass.
Well,
no, s-
people will always turn your circumstances into their reality, right? Like,
Oh
and
my gosh,
make
that
it
is so
about
true.
themselves.
It's a bar.
Um, my on June 11th, 2021, I was cracked open,
mm,
like literally cracked open, and my new self was born. My life before that day doesn't exist. That person, she's in the shadows now,
Mm.
and my new self was born. And so, with that, I learned how to share
mm,
and put myself out there because, right, the other version of me is living in the shadows now, and this version of me needed to emerge into the light. And so I say that my son's transition was my ascension,
mm,
and it forced me into this place of ascension where I need to be my better self. I need to understand who she is and what her walk in life is. And it's as if June 11th was my birthday.
Mm.
And so sharing for me in all of my phases, in every aspect of me, every angle, has been really, mm, it's been such a powerful position to take because it allows me to not live in ego,
mm,
but at the same time, um, I feel like I am giving everyone the best version of me.
Mm.
And it doesn't come from a place of like, oh, I'm so great now, right? It's not an ego. It's just
The pureness.
this is who I am now.
that's right.
Hello. Nice to meet you. Right? Like,
Yes.
Do you feel like that happened right away?
yeah,
I was just gonna ask.
immediately.
Immediately, because when
Immediately.
you're telling that story, so this is my friend, right? This is so
My sister.
we're the son had just passed. We're literally at the service. And
Well, okay, you're talking about the service because before you get into that, hold it.
no, please, I have to tell the story, but go ahead.
By the way, I was brought home from the hospital immediately. I went straight to my brand new house. I had 2 beds and a table with 6 chairs. That's all I had at this house. And I go upstairs to my bed and I go to sleep. I hear Chris coming into the driveway about 2 o'clock in the morning. I come downstairs. I have a shirt and my panties on. And who's sitting at my table? This one right here, just watching over me.
Mm.
And I didn't know. But go ahead, tell your story now.
Are you kidding
I know.
I just like people show up for you
Yes.
and you might be sleeping and you don't even know it.
Mm. But when you say ascension, right? I mean, a rebirth as well.
Yes.
And what Angie was leaning into is like, what was that process?
Yeah.
You know, what were the steps of that? Because
But
we're
For
sitting
her,
here
I feel like
looking
it
at a
was right
warrior
away.
woman.
I feel like it was right
was
away. What I was
immediate.
going to tell you, there's a story is
Go.
that we're first of all, she says she's a crier. She really is, but I'm a crier too. I can talk. I can do podcasts. I can do radio. I don't like talking about anything that is emotional in public, especially where I'm. It's one thing if I'm being interviewed. It's another thing if I have to stand somewhere and talk about any type of emotion. Like if I have to give a speech to somebody I really love or in sadness and grief, it just makes me very uncomfortable. You would think I would be more comfortable at this. So she says to me, she wants me to come and speak at this service. Of course, I'm going to do anything she wants. So yes, um, and so I say to myself, I'm going to go there. I'm not going to cry because I have to be here for my friend. So I'm not going to because she's the one and I'm going to be. So I get up there and
How'd that work out for you?
I was thinking the same thing.
I prayed on it. I was like, please, I don't want to be, because I know Yvette.
Right.
Because I know her. She needs people. She's going to want to wind up taking care of us on a day that we were supposed to be there to help. So my one job was to go up there and read the prayer and not cry and be stoic. And so I get up to the thing, and of course I'm hysterical because I could see Yvette right there. So I start crying, and Yvette was like, "It's okay, you got it." This is Yvette comforting me in this moment.
Not
I'll
surprised.
never forget that moment. I was
Not
just looking at
surprised.
her like, "You what? Are you stop it?" I wanted to tell her in front of the whole, "Stop it!" I wanted to tell her to stop. She's like, "It's all right, you got this." She's telling me I got this. At this son's funeral. And then I just was like, this Yvette, I had to laugh at it. And then, it's just a memory of her. It's so her. It's so like, and so I feel like that transition for her into this new version of yourself. I mean, remnants of the old version are still there. Obviously, it's just your heart and spirit, but I feel like I saw it right away where she was like, we would go for walks after, and we would have talks about what you wanted to, how you wanted to live your life, and things that were coming to you, ideas, feelings, voices, whatever. I feel like immediately she started to make that transition.
It happened right away.
Yeah,
It happened like right away, and I felt my son saying, "You got this," right? Like that was really his message. He was like, "This is my purpose is tied into your purpose, and your purpose is tied into my purpose." I had to go. Like I had a limited amount of time here. I had to go, but I chose you because I knew that for my life, this iteration of my life. And so I knew that you were going to be able to handle that. And this is what I heard him saying to me all the time. Like, yeah, Ma, it's going to hurt, but you're all right. Like, you're built for this. This is yours.
Right.
Mhm.
And I had to accept that journey. And I could not have done it if my heart and my soul wasn't filled with faith. I could not do it. And I immediately tapped into the other side of grief, which is love.
Yes. Please share about that a little more.
Don't you think you've gotten the more you say that too, and Chris?
Yes.
I feel like you chose a partner that would walk through that faith with you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because this is so deep that it's like not knowing in the moment when you did choose him,
Yeah, that's
but
right.
it's like life sets you up in that
Totally.
way when you're,
Totally. It's funny. I've had other friends who've had, they've lost someone close and, that relationship didn't make it. And, not being as close as Angie to you, but seeing just kind of from the outside as you were evolving around that, there was no question that you weren't going to have this hand on your back from Chris. And to hear Angie say that it looked immediate, I could just feel just from watching you and the tiny bit of conversations we had around that time that you were so committed to finding the connection point to the bigger, not to the bigger, like, what does this mean, but to what this meant as it moved you forward.
Yeah.
It felt like you were immediately in that.
Yeah, I was. I never asked why, and I was never angry. And I turned to Chris one day and I was just like, Chris, I haven't been angry. Maybe a month later or so. And he was just like, well, and he said it so matter-of-factly and so quickly as a response, like he didn't even think about it. He was just like, well, that's because you're so faithful. And, just a little background, Chris's dad is a preacher. He's a pastor. So he's a pastor's kid. And Chris's entire life has been steeped in faith. His entire upbringing. He is so stoically faithful, but quiet about it as well. He's not like, he doesn't force it on anyone, but he believes, and he believes wholeheartedly. And so, yes, I think that, listen, I truly believe that we were intended for each other because that's both of our journeys. And I think that was one of the things that attracted us to each other is our level of faith. And he's, he was raised Baptist and he's very Baptist, like all of the customs and traditions.
Mhm.
Where I am Puerto Rican and my grandmother was a santera, and I believe in all types of faiths. I'll call on Buddha as quickly as I'll call on Jesus, as quickly as I call on,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right.
Allah.
Allah,
Yeah.
and, I'm just
I
like,
love that
hey,
about you.
who's listening
Yeah.
today, right?
Team.
Yeah.
Like, holla. And so, but he respects that
Yes.
Mhm.
because at the core of it, I am a spiritual being and I don't run away from it. I'm not scared of it. It is my friend. It is where my faith lies. It's at my core.
Mm.
And so, it yes, it works. Chris and I, like it works.
There's I've been doing a lot of research recently for this next book I'm working on, which is around intimacy and where we have this big divide right now, even with our own selves. Um, and my daughter was talking about that there's this whole group of people now that involuntarily celibate because they don't know how to access that level of intimacy. And I think a big part of it is I'm reminded as I'm watching and listening to both of you is that what makes a successful relationship is when you're so embodied in your own love of self and your own faith of self and your own belief of self that you're not coming to the relationship to be the thing. You're coming to the relationship to have its own us because you both
Yeah.
have those realities. And, what a beautiful thing to, you're talking about a dynamic that's on all realms, right? With your son here, but also this partnership and, you as well, like these partnerships where there's such a love and respect of who you are individually
Mhm.
and your relationship with yourselves that there's no other opportunity for it to thrive. So that's a beautiful thing as well. I just had to bring that
Yeah.
up. Not a detour because I love what we're talking about, but that's an important thing for people to understand.
For
People ask
sure.
me. I had this girl a few weeks ago.
It's the number one mistake in relationships is thinking that the other part.
You
Talk
complete
about
me.
it.
That stupid movie, like you complete
I
me.
just yes.
So what if he has to leave? You're incomplete as a human being. Like
That's what we're sold.
it's not. I mean, so listen. You miss people. You feel devoid of them in your life. I understand I understand the poetic notion of that. But why wouldn't you want two whole people at the table? That's
Well,
such a better.
It starts with somebody doing the work to be whole themselves.
Yeah.
To magnify
Yeah.
and have someone come to them is also.
But not
whole.
everybody always is at the same time of their journey to be whole.
Agreed.
And you could love somebody through that if you are truly whole.
Yeah, that's right.
You could love somebody through them getting to their whole. You know what I'm saying?
If you're truly whole, to your
If you're
point.
truly-
If you're
yes.
truly doing
and
the work.
if you both get there, that's to me when the magic happens, right? When you both are accountable and you're both aware and you're both whole and you just kind of enjoy each other and go from there. To me, that's the ideal scenario for anyone.
I mean, it's the
Yeah.
only
Yeah.
scenario.
Yeah.
It's the only
Well,
scenario.
yeah.
Let's
And
be
I
honest
mean,
about the world is not.
well, that's why I'm bringing it up
Yeah.
because as a side note, because that is such a thing.
Yeah.
People make the joke. It's like, wow, you must be some special thing that three people wanted to marry you. No, I actually enjoy my own self, so I'm bringing some light and luminosity to the thing, not just like soft life. So it's just beautiful
Yeah.
to hear in your own journey that's solely sovereign in your own faith and your own connection to source and your son on the other side, but also you have a partner who sees you as you, who respects your own time and process of your own journey and has their own to bring into that equation. That's just something that needs to be
For sure.
highlighted in this conversation as well.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, that person has to be the person that you trust with your vulnerability.
Say it again.
If you can't be vulnerable with that person, then you're not being accountable
Mm.
to your true self. And that person has to be that. Like we tend to look at people for their existential qualities. And that's not where you're going to make an intimate connection with someone.
Right.
It's everything that's on the inside,
That's right.
right?
I think people though think that intimacy is confrontation,
Yeah.
and so
Oh
I
yeah,
think
definitely.
learning to be
There's
intimate
definitely a
with yourself,
generation of that.
yeah, learning to be
Yeah.
intimate enough with yourself that it's safe enough to say, Yvette, you said you were going to come to my podcast and you didn't come, and are we friends? And do you still love me? And getting vulnerable enough to have those real conversations and that sweetness.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to derail what you were saying. It was beautiful.
no,
We don't
no.
need to. We can go back there.
No.
But it's such a beautiful also confirmation to that bigger conversation in the world right now about partnership and about intimacy and partnership at all level with your children, with who you work with, who you're commuting on the subway with. It's all an intimate dance.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not the subway.
But it is. I mean, you think about.
It's intimacy on
No,
the
you're
subway.
sitting next to somebody you have a
When's the last time
conversation.
you
You know
was
what I
on the
mean?
I
subway?
hate the subway. Listen,
Yeah,
I took the
neither.
subway. There was one thing I remember being when I used to do overnights. I used to be on the train every night, 2 a.m., going home all the way to Queens. I lived in Queens at the time and then back. And my whole life I took the train, right?
Right.
And I remember sitting on the train. I always say this. I remember sitting on the train going, one day I'm not going to have to take the train anymore. And nobody's going to make me feel guilty about it.
Yes.
I don't care what it costs. This is a whole conversation with myself. I don't care what it costs me. If I had to take taxis, because it was taxis back then. We didn't have Ubers. It was take taxis. If I had to, I'm just not gonna. Nobody's gonna because I did it. I'm in it. This is
That's
me.
right.
This is me at 3 a.m. on
Look
the
at the power
subway
of
every night.
manifestation, right? Look
For
at that.
the thing, I was like,
Right.
I hate it. So I have no guilt. So I've done, every now and then, if the traffic is nuts and I have to go somewhere, but I don't enjoy. I don't enjoy a subway ride.
I'll
used-
sit my ass in traffic.
By
I'm
the
not
way,
getting on the train.
I used to love, though, in the music industry that you'd always have that one moment in the meeting
Mhm.
where some executive who lives now in Scarsdale never rides this train. It's like, well, in the street. And I used to be like, which street?
Right,
What
like-
street are we talking about?
Is it Elm Lane?
Right, exactly. What street?
Some people love the subway. Some people,
Yeah, totally.
totally love it. I
Yeah.
know people that love it. Like, no, I'd rather get on the train than it'll be
Yeah,
faster.
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
I'll-
no
peace, I'll
mas.
see you
I did that. No,
I did it too.
I did it. I'm
I
cool.
did
I'm
it.
cool on it.
That's
cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Too.
Yeah. And
No
you lived out,
disrespect.
and you lived out in Coney Island. That's a long ride to the
Yes.
city.
That was by the way, I lived in Coney Island. My grandmother lived in Washington Heights. So that's
Oh.
a
2
2 hour.
hours. That's 2 hours.
2 hours each way. 2
Yeah.
hours. It
Yeah.
was nuts. And I had to stop at J Street Borough Hall. It was
Yeah,
already
yeah.
an hour there.
Right.
I made the cross borough, the amateur
How
mistake.
did we get
My-
into the trains? Oh, the intimacy. on
my
it.
my first boyfriend lived in St. Albans and I lived way out in Brooklyn. So you have to take a train to a bus to a bus. That's love.
Yeah.
That is. That's using love.
That
love.
was love.
Was
I
it
was-
though?
Or
Was it though? Or was it
infatuation, or-
just
yeah.
like,
Oh, no, I was obsessed.
oh yeah.
Jonathan William Everett Davis III. When we met, it was like.
Oh,
Got the
yeah.
whole name.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
you
Yeah.
But anyway, yes. But back to the rebirth, because I think that's really a big part of this idea of the me empire. It's right. It's like looking at the whole conversation. There's things that come up. We have the naughty word, the expectations, the E word, and living in that concept and not enjoying all the moments, not feeling that even heartbreak on the highest level is somehow about your evolution forward. I mean, that's very advanced math.
Mhm.
That's really.
I love that term, by the way. I'm going to steal that.
Yeah, it's so
Please
good.
do.
I'm
I
telling.
mean-
I'm stealing it too.
Please do.
It's advanced math.
It is. Think about that. Like
Advanced
what?
algebra.
A lot of people are not
Yeah.
off the floor yet. So
Yeah.
that's really what we're talking about here today.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's like taking all the things, all the pieces of the puzzle, all the pieces of the ingredients, that recipe, and making whatever that soup is.
Mm.
And loving that and enjoying that. So before we end, I want
Ah.
to just hear, right? I to think about this, and I was saying earlier before you came, Angie, that when I was 11, 1981, there was this thing in my school that if a new person came in, you knew they were your friend if you said to them, "Do you like rock or disco?" And whatever they said is how you knew was a friendship was going to form or not,
What school did you go to, by the way?
right? PS8.
You were a disco,
in Brooklyn.
disco girl, or were you both?
Well, I think to me at that time, I felt like just like a weird freak of nature, mixed before it was trendy, had a single mom before it was trendy, like all these
Right.
things. And there was this one moment where I just thought, rock and disco. Like I could be both these things. And it was an interesting shift in me that started this concept of who I could evolve to be. So when you look back at your life, like what is like the pie, if you're a pizza, of the cultural references that really make you Angie today and you Yvette today?
Oh man.
What are some of those
I'm ready.
things?
Can I go first?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So, Walton Mercado.
Oh,
What?
okay. Please, a little behind this.
It makes sense. It makes total sense.
Please share with me.
Oh my
Enlighten
God.
me.
So,
Are you kidding me? Of course. You don't even have to ask. It's there. It's all there. Go ahead. Spill it.
So, Walter Mercado, for
Okay.
those that don't know.
Do you know who he is?
No.
Oh, that's
Oh my
why.
God, he's amazing. Oh, he was amazing because he's up there with like all the great spirits.
Okay.
And so, Puerto Rican,
Yeah.
think of Puerto Rican Liberace.
Oh,
Yes.
Okay?
On
Okay.
television.
Blonde on television.
I do know.
But
I
he
do
was
know.
an astrologer.
I do know.
And a spiritualist. And
Yes.
so
There was a documentary of him. I saw it a
No.
couple years
Yes.
ago. Yes.
Was
Yes.
there?
Yes.
There
I
was,
just
there
saw it.
was.
Yes.
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 Right.
So Walter Mercado, every night, 10 o'clock, he would come on
With a robe.
with the robe,
And jewelry.
with the stars and the moons, and he would roll his R's like it was amazing. And I would sit there with my grandmother,
Oh my God.
and we would listen to our horoscopes.
Mm.
So Walter Mercado definitely,
I totally can see that.
it's like
I-
this is my guy.
He might be a big slice.
He's a big slice. Like he's half the pizza. I would say Rapper's Delight,
Oh,
Sugar Hill Gang.
Mm.
why?
Because was my entry into hip hop. And I have had the extreme honor of being a culture creator and an ambassador of hip hop in my career.
Yeah.
And I've been in this for about more than 25 years. And it's such an honor, and it hurts me deeply the hands that hip hop is in right now and the state that it's in, but it's okay because I did what I was supposed to do. So I would say Rapper's Delight and Sugar Hill Gang and my entryway into hip hop, El Gran Combo and Hector Lavoe, because that was like the epitome of New Yoricanism in the 70s.
Fanya's in my pie too.
And Fania, yes. And
Sorry, we're on your pie. Continue on with your pie. Your pie has some overlapping to my pie though.
I mean, because we have very similar experiences though.
Yeah, because
sis.
even your Walter's not in my pie. But when you said Walter, it made me think of remember the little dog that used to come on Telemundo? It was the Buenas noches.
Oh, yeah, I do that. I remember.
Who is that dog?
I don't
Where's
know.
the dog?
Where's the
Telemundo
dog?
I don't
Where's
know, but he was
the
I know
amazing.
that
I think he's in my
dog.
pie, and I didn't know it until you started talking about Walter Mercado. Now I feel like the Telemundo dog is in my pie. And I don't know. It's so crazy. It just came up for me. But go ahead.
And then I think the last slice of my pie that truly lives in my DNA is East New York, Brooklyn. I am so Brooklyn. I'm so East New York.
You are so Brooklyn.
It's my rough edges. You know what I'm saying?
This is a good game. This is a good game.
Thank you.
That's my pie.
I love it. And by the way, that's such a good pie because I can see it all.
It's
I can
all you
feel
can
it all.
see it.
Right.
I wish my pie was that easy. I feel like my pie. You know, when you get a pie and you don't got a lot of money, so you do the double cut. You try to get nasty.
You want 16 slices
My pie's like
instead of
that.
8.
Let me get 32 slices. You could cut it into 32 for me. For
I've
the
been there.
class.
I've been there.
You know the little tiny
yes,
little. Let me
I
get a
really
sliver
do.
of the slice.
The one you just
Cut it
pick
in
up
3
like,
pieces,
Yes.
like that. with
Yeah,
one
the
finger.
one they do eat it like that.
Exactly.
That's how my pie is. Honestly, my pie looks like that. I'm not gonna bore us with all the little pieces
Oh,
of
we're
the
not
pie.
bored.
But there's
Yeah.
so many pieces. But the Telemundo dog has got to be in the pie.
I love
Is
this.
he a big piece of the pie? Is he a little? He's a 32 slice.
I just remember it. It's my childhood,
Right.
being a little kid, and my grandmother who passed when I was like 10. So this is like early Angie. Like I remember just sitting. We would just sit in front of the TV. It was like our thing, and she would drink Schaefer beer.
Schaefer beer. That's
She would drink her
amazing.
Schaefer.
Schaefer.
Let me get my Schaefer.
And
And
Schaefer.
and her nails were mad long and like anyway, so she would be with her beer, her nails. The Telemundo, and it would be time for me to go to bed, but I would be so happy that I could be up still late. And the dog was the representation that it was nighttime. It was
Amazing.
right because it was go to
Yes,
bed when I
that's
was Jesus. Now my dog was saying
Yeah,
goodnight,
yeah.
but then I
think
was
come
still
on
there.
like 9 o'clock or something like that before Walter.
Okay.
And then I would be there for hours with her watching TV. So I don't know, it's just a childhood piece of me. I don't know really what it represents except just that and being in Washington Heights with my grandmother at that time. And also watching Spanish television, which
the novelas.
if you know me now, my Spanish is terrible. It's embarrassing.
She
It's
sounds like an old man when she talks. It's
Shut up. It's
Amazing.
really
funny.
no,
No, because her voice goes down. a
No,
couple of
when I try to
octaves.
Who
speak
are you?
Spanish.
Who are you emulating?
my grandfather.
Oh, okay. Can we get a
Like,
word?
really
We can't
immediately
get a
it goes,
sentence.
"When are you?" Like it goes to this weird deep
Immediate-
place. It's terrible. So I
immediately,
don't do it in
it's
public.
amazing.
She's heard me try to speak Spanish, and it always goes to the old man voice. It's so stupid. So it goes to that. But I think for me, my hip hop moment is Beach Street because
Mhm.
not that I think that is the end all be all of movies, or even that it got everything right, but just as a kid at that age in my life, I watched that movie almost every day when I came home from school. Know the movie by heart. It really represents when I was falling in love with the culture, when I was falling in love with it, because it represented everything too. There was people breakdancing in the movie from the Bronx, and some of them were Puerto Rican. They
That's
looked
right.
like the kid who lives next door to me, and there were, I don't know, just there was rap and there was graffiti and it was just all of that. And so me coming of age at that time and connecting to that movie and watching is definitely a piece of the pie. Crazy Legs is in the movie. Like, you know what I mean? It just was a thing. So Beach Street's in the movie in my pie. A little piece of my pie. What else is there? I had so many and now I have only two. I think movies too. Like, I don't know. And New York. I mean, obviously New York. I have all these like memories of the New York City Marathon. When my mother was trying to like find her way as a young woman, watching with her she'd have on what's that band, Olivia Newton-John
Like a
headband, and she'd be like in the living room, and I'd be on the couch like. But what I was learning was that my mother had ambition. You know what I mean? I was watching her like watch the marathon, and she was jogging. You know, jogging was like a thing. Everybody was jogging in their outfits with their sweatbands. And
I love that you got ambition from that.
Me too.
Yeah.
Love that.
Because you're aspiring to like be a better version of yourself. So even though I would be there and rolling my eyes and I'd be over it, I think we would watch the marathon. That's why so many years later, for me to run the marathon was a very big deal for me, even though I almost killed myself. Because it's so New York.
Yes.
It's so, well, the New York City Marathon, not just any marathon. I don't know that I would have gone across the world to run a marathon. It was the New York City Marathon and what that represented, and also it represented to me. I hate running, by the way. Did I mention that? I hate running.
I'm with you.
No, it's like the worst thing I have to do type of exercise is to run. So if I could run the marathon, to me, what that represented was I could pretty much whatever.
Right. Do anything.
If I could do that, I could do anything. It's really the mentality. So me being able to do that and in so much pain at that point, because I had hurt myself a week before that, she knows that. It just really represents what your brain can get you through and how much ambition how far that can take you. So that's in there. That's that a cultural moment?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a cultural
Absolutely.
moment also. I don't know. That's the only piece of my pie. I feel like that's a quarter of my pie.
All right, we can continue this.
I have another slice of my pie.
Okay.
Oh God, this could go on forever because I still only have a quarter of my pie. But my kids and my family, by the way, are the biggest chunk of my pie because they inspire me every single day. It's forced me to change, forced me to learn, forced me to self-correct.
Yes.
Forced me to like not always be the main character of my own movie. And be okay still. Like being a mother and a caretaker and forces you to like fall back in your star of your own movie, but in the best possible way. So that's a huge piece of my pie.
I want to say Angie Martinez is a slice of.
Oh my
I
gosh!
love it.
Shut up!
I love
I
it.
am gonna say that.
Okay.
You know, because I don't know if the world knows this, but I was Angie Martinez's road manager when she was a rapper.
No, gosh.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Yes. But check this. These like
This
two
is
Puerto Rican
which is
chicks.
when it's the tiniest part of my life. That was like a
Very-
two-year
very-
run.
very-
I had a
it
strong
doesn't matter.
2-year run.
But you know what? We like traveled the world together,
We did.
and oftentimes it was like me and her.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I remember one distinct experience. We were in Germany.
Oh God, I'm scared.
And no, Angie was pregnant and nobody knew.
Oh, that's right.
And we were in this like really tight club. And she had just kind of performed and she had horrible like morning sickness and she wasn't her best, but it was a commitment and you see how ambitious she is and we had to get it done. And I remember trying to get her out of there. And I just brought her really close to me. I was just like, just hold me. And I was in front and she pressed her belly up against my back and that's how I protected her belly. And we got up out of there. And it's just really, it's such an emotional, intimate like experience that it's stayed with me all these years, how close two people can be,
Mm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And admire each other for exactly who they are, and have this long lasting relationship that's just really based on two people that dig each other.
Mm.
Oh, Evie.
Ah,
That's beautiful.
So
Ange.
sweet.
I love you too.
She's so sweet.
I don't
She's
know.
great. She's very protective. She was a great road manager. But
I
it's the
could
same
see
reason
that.
why she's been successful in her career, because like she said, she's a caretaker.
Yes, I could see it.
Even in her hard, toughest day of her life, she's telling me I'm gonna be okay. I'm like, what is wrong with you? She's a caretaker. So imagine me being pregnant in another country, nobody knows all the emotions of that, and she's like, I got you. I'm like, thank you.
I love that,
Thank
and
you,
I
honey.
and I love it too to watch you emerge into your star of the story.
Ooh.
Mhm.
It's a beautiful thing to
Yeah.
hear all that magic.
We're gonna be a guest
that-
on. We'll be her first guest on her podcast.
I'm yes. You know I'm a yes.
Do
I'm a
it.
yes. The podcast, the retreat, the
Yes,
book, the
yes.
whatever you
Whatever
need.
it is, we're here.
Then-
We're
and-
attending.
and
We're
I'm holding
we're a
y'all
yes.
to that.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
to also to give every single piece of that I got you to you.
Mm.
You know?
You know, it's funny. I one of the psychics that I work with, she called me out of nowhere. I have a message for you, and we went through everything, and then in the end, I was like, "What's the tribute that I need to send you for this?" And she was like, "No, no, no, nothing." And she was just, and I thanked her profusely. And she said to me, "You got to understand that the love that what you're getting from me is just a reflection of the love that you have given to everyone."
Yes.
You deserve that.
Yes.
And that's really difficult for me to come to terms with, because I don't do it to get anything in return. I do it because this is who I am.
Mm.
But it's really nice to hear it.
And it's also a characteristic of your thrive season.
That's right.
You went from survival, victim, survival, and this is thrival season. For
That's
you.
right. This is tribal.
And that's
Love that
what,
for
that's
you.
the
I accept
attributes
it.
around that.
I accept it.
Your advisory board. I want to be on that board.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Put me on the board too. I'm in.
Yeah,
Oh, yay.
we're
We
in.
we RSVP'd yes to whatever it is.
Yeah, exactly.
We're ready in.
to all of it. It's a
All
yes.
of it.
I love this love fest, by the way.
I want to do another pie. I gotta work on my pie.
Go
The
ahead.
next
Work on
time
the
I see you,
pie.
I'm gonna have the other half. I
Okay,
feel like I
please
gave you
do.
half of my pie today.
Okay, I'll send you my pie because my pie also is like 45,000 slices.
Okay,
and then you
so
could
I'm
be
not a
like,
crazy
Not at
person.
all. It took me weeks when I first thought I was like, what is my pie?
Can I
I
tell
have
you one
weird-ass
more little?
ones,
I have a
please.
weird ass little one too.
Please
It's the
do it.
tiniest, bizarrest
Okay.
one,
Okay.
and it's such a random thought, and just she made me think of it. The movie Steel Magnolias.
Oh.
There is a scene where she's burying her daughter.
I know the scene.
Her hair looks like a helmet, so she's a mess. And then Wheezy comes over and says something crazy to her. And they all start laughing. She made a joke and they start laughing. And she says the line, and she says, "Laughter through tears is my favorite emotion."
Yeah.
good.
So good.
Isn't it so
So
good?
good.
So good.
Look, I
So
couldn't even
good.
get a joke to say it, because when I think about Yvette and her story,
Right.
I think I too try to maneuver life through that, because we're all going to have tears.
That's
Mhm.
right.
Mhm.
I could cry for 10 things going on for either myself or a friend or something I've witnessed, or what we're all witnessing in the world right now could
Wow.
put us at the table to cry all day about
100%.
that.
That's right.
But it's like the laughter through tears
Mhm.
is the best emotion ever.
That's right.
That's fantastic.
Not laughing is no laughing matter.
Yeah, that's a piece of my
100%.
piece of my pie, because I think I operate that way.
I love that.
That
I
hope.
love
I love that.
Yeah.
I love this. I love you. We have to do 5,000 more of
I
these.
like this new emotional
I'm
Angie.
so emotional.
know.
right now. It's fine.
I was crying recently in front of someone who worked for me years ago, and she said, "You used to tell us in the meetings at Def Jam, there's no crying in baseball."
Oh, I said
You
the same
can't cry
thing.
in
Oh,
here.
there's
And
no
now I'm
crying
like,
in hip hop.
Right. Now I'm like, the
I ain't
trees are
listen to none of that.
beautiful. I'm crying. The sun is on my face. I'm like a mess all of a
Oh,
sudden.
you're happy crying all the time.
All the fucking time.
yeah.
I'm just
You
so
sad cry?
grateful. Yeah, I mean,
Us.
I had a lot, I really had to mourn my relationships and
Mm,
how much I didn't value myself.
mm.
That was a lot to look at. And when I got to the side of that, I just was so grateful that I'm alive, the things I've been through, that, the family I have, the friends I have. My circle is now a dot, but powerful, amazing people in my life. And I'm so grateful for that. So I'm crying every freaking day. I'm crying that my knees still work. I can still do yoga. Like everything makes me feel so happy. And so, yeah, all of it. I'm really proud
That's
of
beautiful.
I have a
Good work,
mantra
Mama.
that I wrote myself because I don't think that anyone has ever said this. But it came right on the heels of Dasan's transition, and I say this all the time: gratitude is the direct path to joy.
Yes.
Yeah,
Say
for
it
sure.
again.
Gratitude is the direct path to joy.
I love that.
And every day I wake up and I'm thankful for something.
Mm.
And it's gonna sound so corny, and y'all ain't gonna believe that I actually do this, but even in the worst of times, I look at it, I try to make it a bigger picture, and I say, okay, well, I'm grateful for something in that,
That's not corny at all.
in the worst of it, right? So like my son dying is the worst thing that has ever happened to me. But I'm so grateful that I had him for 26 years.
Yeah.
And I got to be his mother for 26 years. So like that's just one example, but every day I live my life in gratitude.
That's carried you.
because
We could tell. that you've carried.
Yes.
That's definitely carried you.
Definitely.
Yeah.
There's no other way.
Then I'm saying that to the Joy Strategist, so you can
Yeah.
have that, so you can borrow.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think
For
she already
full
told us
credit.
that,
For full
yeah.
credit.
Yeah.
No, I think that's really what it is. It's like there's nothing in life and nature and anywhere that goes up and doesn't go down. And if we're always just looking for those giant mountains, we're never, like we said before, living. So for me too, it's like so much pain. I've been through so much pain in my life, but yet it makes me cry at a tree. So
That's next level crying.
it really, really, I've really been turned. I saw a thing today. I was like, there's actually a word for it, a demnophile or something, like someone whose heart lights up in nature. And every day I take a long walk. I feel really connected to everything there is. And it's just a beautiful thing. I'm one of these old people now looks at birds.
Oh no, me
I'm
too,
like,
all the time.
I'm not there.
all the
I'm
time.
not there with the
All the
birds.
time.
yet.
We're going to drag you out on one of
By
our
the way,
retreats with the birds.
I've been seeing packs of geese
Oh,
everywhere.
God. Oh God.
Everywhere, like all the time. And I'm like, what's the spiritual signal?
I'm gonna send
Who's
you-
sending me a message?
Oh,
I have a gift
God.
for you. It's animal totem magic. And
Oh
it
my
breaks down each animal and what symbolically they
I need it.
Oh,
Send
I
it to me.
need
too.
Okay, well,
that.
I'll
I
send-
get
it's
weird
a beautiful
animals
book
all the
too.
time.
Yeah, I wasn't driving last week in Florida. I'm at the stoplight. This giant egret just sits at the top of the
Oh.
sunroof.
Oh, what? Who?
An egret.
What
they
is
have
that?
like these like long beaks.
They look
and-
like cranes,
Yeah.
kind of, but they're and just stares down at me. And then flew.
Did
and
you
I was-
cry? Did you cry?
I didn't cry. It's more like, am I gonna have to fight this bird? The thing is open, and then I looked it up later, and it said it's about trusting new beginnings.
Oh.
Like this bird is about trusting new
Ooh.
beginnings. I was like, okay, I'll take it. But I'll send you both this book.
As
It's a
we're
beautiful
on the
book.
Joycast.
Wait, what is it called?
Oh.
It's called Animal Magic Totem.
I want it.
I'll send it to
Something
you.
said it.
I'll
okay.
send you I'll send it to you. It's really good.
Okay.
Beautifully
need that.
illustrated and everything too.
I need
Thank
Thank
you
you.
both so much.
Thank you for having
Aw,
us.
crazy.
We love you.
Love
This is
you.
amazing.
Mhm.
You're onto something wonderful.
Thank you. I mean,
I
from you
agree.
two, that's big praise. Thank you.
You know that. You know.
I'm just
that.
having
you
fun.
You don't need us to validate it. You know it.
I actually do. It's funny. Yvette and I are similar in that way. I don't never make things about me. So like even this book, I wrote it and my friends started reading it. They're like, this is really good. And I'm like, is it? Is it really good? Like, I don't know. Is it really good? I can't tell. So yes, it is. It
I
does
love
mean
the
a lot.
illustrations in the book too.
Thank
Like
you.
the little pencils and everything is like so happy.
I wanted people to not take it so seriously.
like a happy
People
town.
know that they should work out and they're going to be in pain and there's work. But as soon as you touch the heart, everyone's like, oh, no. But then we all want relationships and abundance and want to manifest things. But we're just manifucking ourselves because we're running this other program underneath that we don't believe and we're not entitled. And so I wanted it to be light and funny and silly so that you can laugh at yourself and then figure it out. I'm not here as anybody's expert at all, but I'm telling you, I've done some work and you can do some work too. And if your life doesn't feel amazing, well, get on with it.
Word.
Fucking get on with it. So, yeah. So good. That was so fucking good.
Is it pretty? Really, actually, kind of good at this.
Oh, from you. Whoa.
Coming from the nominated producer.
I
Am.
Throw me in the bed.
Right?
with
She's
the
great. No,
compliment.
like she's great at this. Like she's.
Thank
No,
you.
this is great.
Oh, I'd love it. I love it. With Brittany too. And Mary.
You guys can also do like the
Okay.
do like the candid we talking to each other.
Okay, good.
Oh.
Yo,
Oh,
I was
Candace?
telling,
That's you gotta get out of my head.
Angie, I was telling, yeah, hello. I was telling
You're right.
Yvette.
That's just us being impatient. Because in my mind, I thought, well, why couldn't we do that while we were actually doing? Why do we have to act?
Don't get
And
Mary
then she
started.
said it out loud.
We were taking it.
Okay.
Oh,
I was telling her that when I was younger, you know, I was raised by a bunch of teenagers, so I didn't have a lot of like the structure of things. So adults would always say to me, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I was like, I don't want to be you, like you know, thinking I. But then I saw the Godfather movie, and I remember that scene with the wedding when Marlon Brando goes to his office and people are coming for advice. And I was like, I don't want to kill people, but I want that job. Like, how do I hang out all day with my friends? And if anyone has anything they want to talk about, we can figure it out and go back to the party.
Yes.
Weird. That was like the beginning of the pie exercise. I was like, that's too weird to leave on its own. Let me add some other shit around that.
The pie exercise is so good. I
Isn't
have to
it fun?
figure out my pie. I thought I would have had a better answer.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your cultural pie.
Yeah.
love
The
that.
cultural references pie, or however you want to say it. But like, what are the things that make you? The thing that you first saw that movie or that song or that play or that, and you're like, oh, that city. And it never left you
Yeah.
and shaped who you are going forward. So fun.
I love that.
Can we have a Brittany and Mary in the picture as well?
Also, but like, I should have said this because I think the reason I maybe couldn't complete my pie is because I always feel like my pie is not complete yet.
Yeah, no, it's not.
That's the thing.
It evolves forever. Like,
Yeah.
I used to like pizza
like
with
always-
double cheese, and now I don't. I like a different kind of pizza.
The fact that you cry at trees is really fucking funny.
Oh, I looked up what a bat meant when she said
Oh, I didn't want to say
animal
the
totem
thing. I had a
magic.
fucking
I
bat in
thought
my
of the
house.
bat. It
Yeah.
says bat is a spirit guide who strips a person of old limiting personality
Have you been seeing a bat?
and enables them to step into a larger, wiser self.
Wait a minute.
It could portend a time of discomfort, but the lesson here is feel the fear and do it anyway.
That is, first
That's
of all,
what I
I
needed
fucking
right now.
props of
Have
that
you been
looked
seeing
that
a
up
bat?
I was
on
like,
your
wait a
own,
second.
And yes.
Yeah.
Because she
I need
knows
to-
what I was
I need to
thinking.
hear-
When
I know.
I said to you, send that to me, she knows why I said that.
Okay.
So I'm in my bed.
I'm gonna send the book. I
In
will.
my
Please,
bed.
yeah.
In my bed
Oh,
at
shit.
night,
I don't
around there
remember.
snoring,
Use the phone,
sleeping next
too.
to me, and I'm watching TV, and something crossed my TV.
Oh, inside
Yeah.
your house.
In my bedroom.
Yeah.
Not just in my house.
Oh, it
in
came
my
with a message.
fucking bedroom.
Oh yeah,
But wait a minute. So it's sweet and spy, and I'm like,
And you just watch the cable.
What was that? I thought it was a light.
there's no way something's in my room. Like a bird? What is this? Because it was dark, and it was just a TV light.
I was like,
So I wake him up, he gets up, he's like, I don't see anything. I'm like, no, babe, something's in here. Long story short, this all went for 10 minutes because it wouldn't show itself again. Rondé went back to sleep, he's sleeping again. And it's bothering me, I can't sleep. It's so heavy that I'm like, woke him up again. I'm like, no, wake up, please. Like, I really think I saw something in the room. And he wakes up again, and then we see it. I'm like, so I got this shit so blanket over me. Because I had this idea that my grandmother's like a bluebird. Because when she died, all these bluebirds. So I had the curtains. I was like, what color's the bird? Like, I'm screaming. He was like, why are you screaming? I was like, what color is it?
But I would want to know too, because maybe
was
it's a
like-
message from
The thing is, my grandmother. Why would a bird be in my room? It must be my grandmother. Is it blue? He's like, it's black. I was like, it's a bat. It's a bat. As soon as he said, like, I knew it was a bat, and I could tell the way it went in front of the TV. It did like a this. So I just was like, I knew it was a fucking bat. So then we get up. I fucking run out of the room. He's in there with a broom trying to get it towards the front of the door. He's like, stand by the front door and hold it open. So I was trying to shoot. I was like, first of all, no. No to any of that. No to all of that. I'm not standing here. I'm not waiting for it. I'm going upstairs. So I go up to the room and Christian's awake. It's like 1 a.m. on a school night. I was like, go downstairs and help me go upstairs. There's a bat in the room. He's like, what? So they're in there 20 minutes. They don't find anything. The bat is like gone. So I call animal control. They come 2 a.m. They show up. They're in my bedroom. Oh, by the way, whatever city, county you're from, they have an animal control, and they come with badges. They come look at the house, whatever. So they came. 30 minutes, 40 minutes. They don't find anything. They say it probably got out however it came in. Okay, well that's not enough for me. That's not good enough for me to go back and lay in the bed. I can't do it. So I'm gonna sleep upstairs, close the door, put the thing. They said call another private company tomorrow. They'll do a deep clean. They'll see where it came in. We call them. They do a whole search. There's no bat here. Must have gotten out. Maybe the fireplace. I have a fireplace. I'm like, but the fire's on. So did it come in through the fire?
Right.
And not get on fire.
I don't know how the fucking thing got in.
Right.
No, but it's gone. My heart. I can't go in there. I'm not
going in the bedroom.
Yeah.
I have a bedroom that has like a loft, so it's not just like this where you could see everything in the room.
Yeah.
There's a loft, there's a second level, and there's shelves. So I don't. The shit could be anywhere, and I got two big closets. I got, it could be anywhere in this space. So 5 fucking days later, I'm on the phone with Lorena, Joe's wife, Joe's wife.
Right.
Lorena, I can't. I'm never going in my room. I'm gonna move out.
I'm never going in my
I'm
room.
gonna move out. I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do. Randy's like, what do you want to do? Move? We can't move. I'm like, all right, fuck it. Well, maybe if I just have people move everything out of our room, I'll feel better. Lorena was like, I have these people, they do super deep from Colombia, they do deep cleaning. Let them come in, just do a deep clean, you'll feel better. Say, okay, so they come in to do a deep clean. I'm in one of the other rooms, I hear the girl. I was like, I walk in, the lady tells me, it's a bat. They found the fucking, so the bat was living in my bedroom for 5 days while I was sleeping upstairs in my son's room because I was scared.
Right.
I wouldn't go back in the room. So we called back animal control, they had to come back. Put in a fucking can. It's still alive. Fucking going crazy in the damn can. For 5 days, living in my bedroom.
They wanted to make sure you received that message.
That's
right.
There's symbolism in the 5
Yeah,
as well.
Yep, there is symbolism.
Symbolism in the
In the
5 as
five.
well.
Look up 5 numerology
Yeah,
as well.
This is crazy.
That's a whole.
I could be off with the 5 though. I think it was 5.
No, it was like 3. But 3
It
is like,
was not 3. It was for sure
Because of
more
the
than
weekend.
3. No, it was definitely more than 3.
Figure out the number, and there goes an
It's
additional
an
message.
additional message.
All right, let's figure out the number. I'm sure it's in my text messages. I have my text messages. Oh my God, there's a fucking bat in my house.
I would be freaked out too.
Yeah.
I would be.
I have them in
absolutely
my
freaked out.
backyard, but they ain't inside. So
I didn't even know I had them in my neighborhood. I
Yeah.
didn't even know
It
it was a
probably
Jersey.
came. Do you have a cover at the top of your chimney?
Well, we found out we had paid for one. Found out it wasn't there.
Ah.
And now
Ah.
somebody had to
Yeah.
come put it on there.
Mhm.
But in my fucking bedroom,
That's wild.
when you're at your most peaceful sleep, he's snoring. I'm in the bed. It's dark in the bedroom. Are you crazy?
Yo,
bats are like
sick.
mice too.
mice with wings.
Yeah,
Yes.
they can get into tiny
I
little
know.
holes.
Yeah.
And they're so ugly.
I know this now because
Their
now I
faces
went
like-
down a rabbit hole of how the fuck
They're
did I have
terrifying.
gotten it? It's horrible and they're hideous.
Mm.
Yeah, they're hideous.
Sorry, I went on a long.
No. I'm listen. I get it.
A lot of us got this hand in them.
I know. I was like, I messed up.
Mm.
Not too much.
Do you want a 3, 2, 1?
Yeah,
Most people are just like,
Like, okay, we're going.
I like young Brittany.
3, 2, 1, and.
Thank you. Wait, do one just them 3.
Yes.
Please.
Standing.
Yeah. Word.
I get to hug up on both of you.
Yes.
I bet this is your phone, by the way.
Okay, great.
Yes, y'all cute.
Very.
Y'all
Grab,
cute.
grab some on the.
Thank you.
I love you so much.
I love you.
We're gonna have to send these to you. The best. Oh, wait, come here.
Talk to you for another 5 hours. I have so many more.
I know that was so good. By the way, we
Open
opened the
up
whole
your
episode just on the pie.
Right? Yeah.
It really could just be.
Okay.
The pie could literally be a whole episode.
But that should be the closing question for every.
Yeah.
That
I
was
saved
so-
it.
that's
I saved it for you all.
Oh, that but for moving forward,
Don't
you should
forget
do
that.
that.
Yeah.
Ponds, but I would like
I'm
to
worried
hear
about
his
tomorrow. I don't know about tomorrow.
That would be
No, that'll
dope.
be good.
Yeah.
That's good
It'll be
because
light. It'll be
Men,
funny.
Do it.
men need
Stimulant.
What episode is this?
You
Prompts.
sit in the
So I
middle
felt like-
though. Sit in the middle.
Okay.
For them
for
two.
those two. Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
You think?
Yes. Yeah,
Starting-
she's gonna
I have a
need
whole
each of
chapter
them.
about the starting
Yeah, but
gonna
spot.
need them
no,
on
but then
either
she's
side.
gonna be like this to talk to them both. She
It's
don't
true.
wanna
I
do
did do one where I was doing that.
Don't do that. No, stay where you are.
Nah, having them next to each other is good because they'll be like,
Yeah, they're gonna be like, yo,
Like that,
bro,
yeah.
oh, you stupid.
Yeah.
They'll be good though. And Pekas is really good at culturally. Like
Oh,
he'll
he's great.
right. So if you're telling him cultural moments, he'll be good at that pie.
Yeah,
Oh,
and Victor will.
And I think too.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that'd be great for
So,
that.
and the episode's easy. I don't know.